If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it must be the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. A podcast that once had a terminal case of the hiccups. He wonders what punch drunk really feels like. It's Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much to my Canadian nephew, Drew McMillan, for doing another fine introduction to the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. We are here to help you understand and lose your fear of Medicare and hopefully make that transition from regular insurance to Medicare insurance. A less challenging one and a more rewarding one for you. That's what we're trying to do here anyway. This is all based on the book I wrote years ago called Medicare for the Lazy Man. And then I got lazy, and every year I update it. I change some things. I rewrite some things. This year I really got lazy, and I am now in the process of editing the content of the book during our final rush towards publication. The unfortunate fact of life is that we're about 3 months late. So I'm hoping to get it published at the end of February instead of in December, which is usually my goal. But I will say, just between us girls, that I had so many positive reviews from last year's book that I think I might have hit a home run then, and I haven't changed a lot of the content because it appears to work for most people. So what I've changed is all the things that are pertinent to the 2022 legal environment, the government mandated costs and prices for things and co-pays and all of that stuff are all brought up to date. But the foundation, the basic fundamentals of the book introducing people to Medicare hasn't changed. And so that makes my publication of the newest book a little bit easier. There's less work to do. So I'm hoping to be able to report soon that thing has been put up for sale on Amazon. Anyway, we're going to have a fun day today. In addition to urging you to go to Amazon to buy the existing book in case it takes a little while longer than I want it to for the new one to come up, I'm going to put Randy through his paces today. Randy's going to have to work a little harder than he's used to. And he's looking at me like, uh-oh, what do you have in mind? What's wrong with you? And it's usually kind of fun when we can get Randy involved in the podcast content. It turns out to be a fun time. But the first thing I'm going to ask him to do is to play our 30-second radio spot, which details all of the ways that you should access the information that we can shovel out to you. So I'm going to shut up now just for a second. Medicare is complicated. Medicare can be confusing. Medicare is no fun to study. Will you know what decisions to make when Medicare time arrives for you? My name is Doug Jones, and I wrote a book to help you figure it all out. Medicare for the Lazy Man. It's on sale at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Also, you can download and listen to my podcast, Medicare for the Lazy Man, wherever fine podcasts are given away free of charge. Medicare for the Lazy Man, simplest and easiest guide ever. Okay, thanks, Randy. That's what I had hoped to hear was our excellently produced radio spot with the there's a 5-man group in the background playing the same music over and over again. They never get tired of it. We had like 5,000 takes, and they never complained about it at all. Anyway, Randy is sitting here waiting anxiously to find out what kind of torture I've got in mind for him. Good morning, Randy. How are things?
I'm good. I'm just a little bit apprehensive now, but
I don't blame you.
I have no idea what Mr. Jones is going to pull out of the MLM bag now, but let's see.
Well, here's the whole thing. I have been gone a lot. I was in Illinois packing up our family manse, and I filled up 2 shipping containers full of Jones Detrius, and there's been a lot of time that I have not been able to pay attention to business. So now that I'm back, now I'm in Arizona. Of course, as you can hear, I lose my train of thought periodically because I'm staring out at the beautiful blue sky and the beautiful mountains that surround Cave Creek, Arizona. But I've got several articles that could be of interest to our audience. Now, obviously, not all audience members are going to be interested in every particular item, but I have articles that pertain to the data mining, in other words, kind of fraudulent activity, Medicare free dental and vision plans, and then make sure your aging parents have the right health care and that they don't get scammed. And then we have the trusty, reliable MLM mailbag. So I've got 4 things here for Randy to choose from. And I like it when Randy helps me pick out which of these.
Well, you're talking to a software engineer, so you're pretty well guaranteed to know which one I'm going to pick this morning. But I would like to hear about the data mining.
Okay, and hopefully the data mining. And I can see by the old clock on the wall that I've used up 5 minutes of the episode. So that gives me 15 minutes to work with, to goof around with. All right, this article was actually published in September of 2021. It was written by somebody named Fred Schulte, and the headline is the DOJ, Department of Justice, says a data mining company fabricated medical diagnoses to make money. Now, I don't think that making money is a bad thing. I think making money is what keeps the world going around. And so this is just, the headline makes it sound like it's akin to the liberal people who are complaining about the changes in Medicare that may be appropriate only for money-making, profitable enterprises. And I feel badly about joining up with them, but it's the same kind of position here where it says to make money is bad. I don't think making money is bad, but I think fabricating medical diagnoses to make money might be a bad thing. So let's see what this article has to say. A civil suit filed by the Justice Department this week, this is last September, links exaggerated patient bills to tens of millions of dollars in overcharges by Medicare Advantage plans. Who could see that coming? Wow, shock. Andy's
No, tell me it ain't so. Tell me it ain't so, Doug.
It is so. A data analytics team facilitated the fraud, the lawsuit alleges. The Justice Department has accused upstate New York, call them senior retarded, along with a medical analytics company the insurer is affiliated with, of cheating the government out of tens of millions of dollars. The civil complaint of fraud filed this week is the first by the federal government to target a data mining company for allegedly helping a Medicare Advantage program to game federal billing regulations in a way that enables the plan to overcharge for patient treatments. The lawsuit names as defendants the Medical Records Review Company. I don't even, oh boy, it's spelled, it's only got 4 characters. It shouldn't be that hard. It's D, capital D, small x, capital I, capital D, Dexid, and Independent Health Association of Buffalo, which operates 2 Medicare Advantage plans. Betsy Gaffney, Dexid's founder and CEO, is also named in the suit. Dexid, which shut down in August, is owned by Independent Health through another subsidiary. So what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Medicare Advantage are paid more for sicker patients, it goes on to say. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, that's the government department that can't seem to figure out how to spell properly their own acronym. It is Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, but they misspell it CMS. They forgot an M in there. So they pay Medicare Advantage plans for using a complex, or they pay Medicare Advantage plans using a complex formula called a risk score, which is intended to render higher rates for sicker patients and less for those in good health. The data mining company combined electronic medical records to identify missed diagnoses, pocketing up to 20% of new revenue that it generated for the health plans. But the Department of Justice alleges that Dexid's reviews triggered tens of millions of dollars in overcharges when those missing diagnoses were filled in with exaggerations of how sick the patients were. Did not have stuff, huh? Yeah, Medicare is always always entertaining. So
I'm really liking this stuff. I may be the only one, but I'm really liking this stuff because I'm a software guy.
Yeah, you are a software guy. So the idea of data mining appeals to you. And frankly, and you have a visceral hatred of Medicare Advantage plans because you've seen what they've done to your friends and family. And so on 2 counts, they get caught with their hands in the cookie jar. And so they theoretically get slapped down for that. So you got 2 areas of this article that probably appeal to you.
They really do, because like you said, you've got the data mining going on, which interests me to a great deal. And then you've got a Medicare Advantage involvement that proves that they're, a bunch of shysters to begin with. And number 2 or number 3, they got a software company involved in it. And I'm glad the Department of Justice figured it out, because I'll guarantee you, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the expert and I'm not, but I will guarantee you that extra money they were making wasn't helping the clients out any.
No, it really didn't. It went to other sources, like the owners of the company that that managed the health plan. And this is why I don't like having to put up with managed care. Anytime you got the word managed in connection with your health care, then you got some bad outcomes. They're in charge of what treatment you get, rather than you being in charge of it. So going on, in an email, some guy named Frank Sava, a spokesman for Independent Health, that's the company that shut down, I think. We are aware of the Department of Justice complaint filed and will continue to defend ourselves vigorously against the allegations. Because this is an open case, I cannot comment further. And then back to the woman, Gaffney, her lawyer did not respond to requests for comment. The Department of Justice expands on a 2012 whistleblower suit filed by Teresa Ross, a former medical coding official at Group Health Corp. We're getting pretty deep into the details here. I have to tell you that the agent inadvertently gets involved in some of these larger companies that sell Medicare Advantage plans. And I hate to name names because I'm not accusing these companies all of using duplicitous methods. But when you're an agent and you sell products for one of these larger nationwide health insurance companies that also sells Medicare Advantage plans, they are all over you to follow up with the patient or the client, excuse me. In other words, you sell a plan and they want you to talk to that client in 5 days, and then 15 days, and then 30 days after that. They want you to hassle these people in order to convince them to fill out a health questionnaire. And the purported goal for that health questionnaire is to identify all the ways in which that client might need assistance. And then what they don't tell you is they turn around and they shove that paperwork at the federal government and they say, see, this person is a person in greater need than average of our assistance, so give us more money, and it increases their cash flow. They never tell you that. It irritates me no end. I'm trying to be Mr. Polite for this family-oriented podcast, but it's just like when you walk into let's say a Holiday Inn Express or a Hampton Inn hotel room, and you see a big sign on the bathroom counter that says, let's help keep the planet green. If you don't want us to wash your towels and your sheets and stuff, please tell us and we won't do it for you. They never tell you that it's to save them a ton of money in operating costs. If they don't have to send a maid to your room to change your sheets, if they don't have to use the washing machines and wash all those sheets, then and the towels and all that stuff, they have lower operating overhead costs. They never tell you that, those liars. And it's the same thing with these insurance companies. They tell you that they're doing it for an altruistic motive that's taking care of people that need additional help. But in reality, their motivation is to increase their revenue. And then they would answer, well, if we can't get the additional revenue, we can't offer the additional help. That's when we run into the part of the story that Randy likes, which is the data mining for the purposes of ginning up the amount of government money that comes their way. And exaggerating the cost. They just said that earlier in this article. They exaggerate the severity of some of these patient conditions in order to once again, increase the amount of cash flow that the government is going to point their way. So it goes on to say a patient with an amazingly sunny disposition gets the label of major depression. So here's an example of their screwing around. Ross alleged that the plan billed for major depression in a patient described by his doctor of having an amazingly sunny disposition. Now, that could have been me. That's how people describe me, amazingly sunny disposition. The company, Group Health, now known as the Kaiser Foundation Health Plan of Washington, a company unrelated to Kaiser Health News or the Kaiser Family Foundation. So they're riding the coattails of an actually reliable, honest organization by trying to steal their identity. And I guess they can do that because they're in a different state. Kaiser is in California, and this outfit appears to be in Washington state. So it says now the Justice Department is taking over the case and targeting Dexid for its work on behalf of both Group Health and Independent Health. I'm losing the corporate connections here, but it sounds as though these are all interrelated entities. Hopefully this case sends a message that coding companies exist only to enrich themselves by violating many CMS rules will face consequences. Another guy says, this guy's an associate professor of healthcare policy at Harvard. He has studied Medicare Advantage payment policy, and he has not seen the government take legal actions against the data analytics companies before. They are often the ones doing a lot of the scraping for billing codes. So I wouldn't be surprised if they came under more scrutiny. But what if they don't? It's kind of like a former presidential candidate who happens to be female, who happens to have committed or authorized her campaign people to commit some improprieties, and she's going to sail through it just fine. She's not going to wind up behind bars or having her reputation besmirched to the extent that Richard Nixon did for doing much less evil. So anyway, going back to the article, I keep getting distracted because I see parallels to real life situations. Trolling patient medical records to gin up new diagnoses. In the legal complaint filed last Monday, this was in September, the Justice Department alleges that Gaffney pitched Dexid's revenue-generating tools as too attractive to pass up. There is no upfront fee. We don't get paid until you get paid, and we work on a percentage of the actual proven recoveries, she wrote. The 102-page suit describes Dexid's chart review process as fraudulent, saying that it relied on trolling patient medical records to gin up, in many cases, new diagnoses exclusively from information derived from impermissible sources. The complaint cites medical conditions that it says either were exaggerated or were not supported by the medical records, such as billing for treatment of chronic depression that had been resolved. It also cites allegedly unsupported claims for renal failure, the most severe form of chronic kidney disease. The suit alleges that Gaffney, I hate saying this word Gaffney because she's obviously a criminal. I went to school with two cousins. One was a nice young lady and one was a gentleman. Their name was Gaffney, and I know their families, and frankly, I hate saying their name in connection with a criminal enterprise. I'm sure this is an unrelated Gaffney. Anyway, Gaffney said these cases were worth a ton of money to their client, Independent Health, and the majority of people over 70 have it at some level. I don't think so. I certainly don't. The complaint says that CMS would have tried to recover money paid to the health plan improperly had it known about Dexid's tactics, and has now done so via this lawsuit. The Justice Department is seeking treble damages in a False Claims Act suit, plus an unspecified civil penalty for each violation of the law. Medicare Advantage, a fast-growing private alternative to original Medicare, has enrolled more than 26 million people, according to AHIP, which is an insurance industry trade group. While popular with seniors, I'm not so sure about that. Medicare Advantage, no, Randy's going, he's got whiplash. He's shaking his head so violently. Medicare Advantage has been the target of multiple government investigations. Here it is. It's almost like a criminal enterprise. And we've been talking lately on at least two occasions about a Medicare Advantage clone, which is probably going to have even worse outcomes. So that particular clone is the direct contracting entity, as we've referred to a couple of times, thanks to Brian X and his questions about whether we should be concerned about direct contracting entities. So anyway, the government investigations, Medicare Advantage has been the target of multiple government investigations. So when you buy a Medicare Advantage plan, it's entirely possible that you're contributing to criminal activity, ladies and gentlemen. So this is another reason that I am never going to recommend or sell Medicare Advantage plans, in spite of their very, very generous commissions that the taxpayers actually foot the bill for. So whistleblower lawsuits, Medicare audits, all of these things follow Medicare Advantage plans around. One 2020 report estimated improper payments to the plans, Medicare Advantage plans, topped $16 billion in 1 year. That would be in 2019. The estimate was $16 billion in fraudulent payments. They call them improper payments. At least 24 whistleblower cases, some dating to 2009, have alleged fraud by Medicare Advantage plans relating to manipulating patient risk scores to boost revenue. And here's the last paragraph, so you can you can relax now. In July, the Justice Department consolidated 6 such cases against Kaiser Permanente health plans. In August, California-based Sutter Health agreed to pay $90 million to settle a similar fraud case. Previous settlements have totaled more than $300 million. Sounds kind of petty compared to the $16 billion in estimated single-year fraudulent payments by the government. So I'm just saying here that we could probably do better in policing the fraud that occurs with Medicare Advantage plans, and it's entirely possible that Medicare Advantage plans as a species should be eliminated. I don't know. I'm not in charge of health policy, but I know that I have stated over and over again that the Medicare program could have been set up as more of a privately run organization without the overhead, without the costs involved, by helping to level out the cost. The only reason it exists is to level out the cost in health between really young people that don't have to pay that much and older people way too. And that's the whole point of Medicare. That's why it exists. And Medicare Advantage is not the way to get that job. I'm through pontificating.
Well, I have a couple things to share. I really enjoyed this article. I'm very glad that we picked that one out, because in my opinion, it highlights 2 things about Medicare Advantage plans that people listening to the podcast ought to, sit down and take note, get your pencil out, scratch a few ideas down. But back in the Midwest where I'm from, usually when there's smoke on the prairie, there's fire.
Sure. You just can't see it if you're too far away from it.
That's right. So in the situation of a Medicare Advantage plan being illegally helped by a data mining company that was scraping data out of, illegal sources and then taking a percentage of the gain that they were able to give that Advantage plan. I'm not saying that all Advantage plans are run like this, but there's always the possibility that you're not getting the care that you really deserve because of other research articles that Doug has brought forward. Bottom line is, when the Medicare Advantage plan, when the money gets short, guess what else gets short?
Your
care.
Treatment.
So I'm just saying from a guy from the Midwest that looks at things very simply, look very carefully before you ever get involved in a Medicare Advantage plan.
Yeah, it's really disturbing to me that otherwise very highly regarded national insurance companies, very large, gently try to goad the agent into returning to their client after the client has been sold product and ask them to answer $1 million, trying to uncover why they go back to the feds in a larger per capita payment insurance company.
Yeah.
I don't want to be part of that process.
No, I mean, I'm teasing now, but I envision getting one of these calls. I haven't, obviously, but if I were to get one of these, I just envision saying, Mr. Carson, are you depressed? Because, you sound very depressed.
Exactly. We're going to put you down as depressed just in case you ever get depressed.
Yeah. So, because the last time we talked to you, you were much more chipper than you are today. So I think, unbeknownst to you, you're being overtaken by chronic depression.
Well, here's the good news for you, Rand. You're never going to have that or that questionnaire to fill out because you have a Medicare supplement.
I do.
And your Medicare supplement plan is not prone to all the illegal activity that Medicare Advantage plans seem to fall into.
I know.
Very little crooks to come along and conduct fraudulent activity. When the government says we're trying to get the fraud out of Medicare, it's not from Medicare supplement like I sell and like you have. It's from the Medicare. So
I know. And that, before I knew you, I was just freaking lucky that I went the direction I went because I didn't know you.
Well, the thing is, you had a very smart advisor whose office is, I think, either right upstairs from you or right down.
Actually, she's right upstairs from me. And obviously, I see her a lot. She's in the office 24/7.
Absolutely. And so I'm inclined to think that would be the reason that you dodged a big bullet.
Yes, because I did the same thing. The reason that you wrote the book, I did the same thing going Medicare for the lazy. Oh, I'm a lazy man. Okay, yeah. Oh, I can't do this, honey. Would you please take care of this?
I know. Well, I'm pretty excited because I have the files for the new book waiting for me. Let's let the audience go. Let's say goodbye, and that'll allow me to start working the book that much.
Absolutely. Well, let me do just a little bit of wrap up. Thank you all for joining us today. I found this particular topic very interesting to me, and I'm hoping others did as well. But you need to go to Amazon.com. You need to buy one of these books that we keep referring to, because that would be the best, absolutely the best chunk of money you ever spent. Comes in paperback, comes in audio, comes in Kindle, and just about any flavor you want to put it in. But do that, and then also write Doug a note, because he gets really depressed. Talk about depression.
How can I get some extra money from the feds?
That's right. That's right. But one way to stop it is to send him a letter at dbj@mlmmailbag.com and tell him what you think, whether it's good, whether it's bad or indifferent. Just send him something, because he runs to the mailbox every morning with this anticipatory look on his face, and then he comes back chest fallen when there's nothing there.
He's right about that, ladies and gentlemen. So thanks very much for joining us today.
Well, you have spent about 32 and a half minutes with Doug Jones, the anti-insurance guy from Oklahoma, and now an expert data miner.
Bye-bye.